Hello. How you doing? Good. Because I'm not really sure how I can follow on from that, to be fair. Let me just be the first to say, you've got a great night lined up ahead, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to it, so let's crack on. And to be fair, even for me, this gig is it's already going well. The last time I was here doing a gig, I came on stage for the microphone, reached for it, and it came apart in my hands. The cable fell out, and it was technically useless. It was all right in the end, thankfully. The microphone was fixed, the gig went ahead, it went well. But I find it funny to think that just by coming up on stage and taking the microphone out of the socket without incident, the gig will already be going better than the previous one. Let me tell you a bit about myself. As you heard, introduced by that TV screen over there. My name's Matt Grindrod, but because of the way it's spelt, people often mispronounce it Grindrod. Doesn't really bother me. It's not the worst pronunciation I've ever had. The worst pronunciation I've ever had was when I was meeting Mr. Montage's housemates for the first time, and introduced myself to one of them. He's like, "Oh, I am Matt Grindrod." He's like, "What rim job?" "That's a very interesting name." I've sort of just become some sort of creepy headmaster there. "Jenkins, what are you doing behind the bike shed?" I have no idea where this is going, by the way. Yeah, so it was quite a surprise to hear that the first time. When we went out and we had some night, it was really weird. But something you do not need is the next day when you're walking home with someone who you don't know that well, and you're thinking this could very well be the make or break point in this friendship. When who should pop up with this weirdo from last night who just goes, "Hey, rim job, how's it going? Oh, you wouldn't believe the stuff this guy did last night. Isn't that right, Rimmy? Hey. Puts a bit of a strain on a friendship, I can tell you that. Right, well, let me tell you a few more things about myself. I'm quite a trustworthy person. If you were to tell me that Gullible's on the ceiling, you'd be a twat. Apparently I'm a sceptical person. Don't believe it. I'm actually quite a forgetful person. What am I like? Seriously. Where was I last night? Why is the name Tony tattooed on my thigh? I suffer from a few other medical conditions. I've got quite bad arthritis. My doctor says it should clear up any day now. I'd say fingers crossed, but... Yeah, so in case you haven't seen me do stand-up before, I'm quite into one-liners, so let's get the ball rolling with some quick-fire jokes, so just sit still and listen up. Kite flying, that goes right over my head. Repeat buttons, they take me back. Drilling holes, that's boring. Recurring decimals, they love to go on. Discount fishing line, it's the real deal. Road maintenance, that's a groundbreaking job. All right, let's slow it down. That's slightly longer one-liners now. I used to be a tightrope walker, but I couldn't stay on top of it. Stay with me, they get worse. I used to balance a beach ball on my head, but I couldn't keep it up. Used to be a gardener. I enjoyed gardening until I lost the plot. I used to sell guitars, but I was always fretting. I used to model business clothing, but it didn't suit me. I tried limboing, but I couldn't get down to it. I once made a short artistic film. It was just a single shot of a whale's limb. Fin. So I was chatting to the butcher the other day, and he said, "How'd you like your meat cut?" I said, "Lean." He said, "How'd you like your meat cut?" I've got a friend who keeps several bottles of whiskey and vodka on a shelf 10 feet off the ground. He's a man with high spirits. So I was standing on the edge of this bridge, and this guy came over to me. He said, "Don't jump." I said, "Don't push me." My mate said to me, he said, "Can you do a joke about someone trying to do the splits?" I said, "That's a bit of a stretch." So I was showing my friend Michael around a film set and just pointing at everything, explaining what it was. He said, "What's that over there?" I said, "Boom mic." He said, "What's that over there?" The other day I bought a pizza when someone snatched it and ran away with it. Takeaway pizza. I said they were going to get worse. So yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about crime, shall we? Crimes against the deaf population. Unheard of. Crimes against the mute population. Unspeakable. Crimes against the moot population. Not worth mentioning. Paedophilia. It's a minor issue. Mid-level officer command in the army. It's a major issue. Army command on the whole. It's a general issue. Moving swiftly on. I remember the time I contracted this rare disease and my left arm went completely rigid. I couldn't shake it. Doctors recently concluded that if every single person in the world, for just a few minutes every day, were to go, ooh, that'd be really weird. Did you also know that if you were to click your fingers every hour for a year, you get really, really annoying? The day I found out I'd forgotten how to click my fingers, my career as a hypnotist was over just like... That would have made Live Aid much less dramatic. Every time I click... Every time. This was going to be so deep as well. Where else can I go from here? I thought it'd be pretty interesting to own a massive window, but it was just an enormous pain. Where else? Over the summer, I became convinced I was being stalked by a really shady character, but it was just my shadow. My mum's always telling me I should spend more time exercising caution and restraint. But if she's going to give the dogs stupid names, I'm not going to walk them. I have a friend who smokes marijuana and then goes on to pass judgment on suspected felons in a court of law. High Court judge. I thought about telling a joke about the time I tried covering my entire house in denim. Didn't have enough material. I once auditioned for a play where all the roles were those of inanimate objects. I wanted to be the die, but the die had been cast, as had the first stone. It was a very weird play. Where can I go from here? Who'd have thought that remembering like 50 jokes was harder than remembering like 3 or 4 stories? That's not a joke, that's just a fact. I once did a gig for an audience of bodybuilders. Ooh, tough crowd. I was chatting with my brother recently, and he didn't notice when I started pushing this pile of change towards the edge of the table. Eventually, the penny dropped. That's a terrible one. I remember the time I won the National Bread Heating Championships. The toast they gave me at the reception afterwards was very disappointing by comparison. I remember the time I spent tasting sugary olives. Bittersweet memories. Still leaves a bad taste in the mouth. No, it's funny what you remember. I remember my late uncle saying to me, "Sorry I'm late." I remember the time I was in a restaurant and this member of staff said to me, "Sir, may I check your coat?" I said, "No, it's definitely real." I remember the time I came home on my own and my mum said to me, she said, "Where's your brother?" I said, "Well, he fell into a well." I remember the time I was in a hardware store and the manager came over to me and she said, "How dare you make such a comment, sir? The fact that this is a hardware store has nothing to do with it. The women we have working here are upstanding members of the community and not in the least sexually promiscuous." I said, "No, I'm looking for some slats." And some hoes. Moving on. 2 helium atoms walk into a bar. Hee hee. My mate said, "Do you know the chemical symbol for nobelium?" "No." 7, 19, 31. Prime examples. I give no quarter to people who can't understand fractions. Decimals. What's the point? That's a terrible one. Just one quick thing. Usain Bolt. He's quite quick. Moving on. I lost my job in the mirror factory. Saw it coming. I had a business selling aesthetically pleasing pens and pencils. It was pretty stationary. My business trying to locate vacant radio frequencies was largely static. I had a job driving someone round and round a roundabout. Never went anywhere. Had a telegram business, but that was very stop, start, stop, stop, stop. I'm glad you got that. I thought I was never going to be able to stop. Stop. No, we're on the last leg now, so don't worry, stay with me. I remember the time I got a large unexpected delivery of clay in the post. Didn't know what to make of it. I remember the time my mate told me he had metal coils in his feet. He had a spring in his step. I told you they were going to get worse. Where can I go from here? Yes, my memory's failed me again. I remember the time leading up to my wall building exams. I was bricking it. My favourite martial artist come actor would have to be Jean-Claude Van Reservoir. Damn! My hopes of bringing back Morse code were dashed. I thought about adding a bit in there, how they weren't just dash, they were dash, dot, 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 dash, dot, 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 dash, dot, dotted. But I didn't have the time. Well, I have to say that concludes the large one-liner portion of this set. I've got one last thing to talk about before I go. Has anyone here seen the film Inception? Okay. Who enjoyed Inception? Okay, no, I liked Inception too, but the thing I didn't like is when Inception was first released, there was this craze revolving around whenever there was something within something else, people used to take that word and stick it next to the word "ception." For example, a picture within a picture, pictureception. That really annoyed me. You wouldn't see like a pregnant woman walking down the road and go, "Personception!" So what I started doing is whenever one of my friends would say something stupid like bookception or videoception or contraception, I'd say, "Oh, that's very interesting. Tell me, what would you call an aged commercial establishment that provides food and lodging for the public, especially travellers, inside a commercial establishment that provides food and lodging for the public, especially travellers?" Inception. I don't have many friends left. And on that note, I'd like to say that's the end of the set. Thanks very much. You guys have been fantastic. I've been Matt Grindrod. You've got a great night ahead of you. Thanks very much. Good night.